Hello.
I promised Tony that when we get through another 30 episodes of Movie Club, I'll make a new intro.
I know no one would appreciate that more than Tony. Welcome to Laughing Place Movie Club. Today we are talking about Night at the Museum, a 20th Century Studios film, formerly known as 20th Century Fox at the time this was made. My name is Alex. We are joined tonight by Fanboy,
A
Benji.
news corporation company.
Yes. And we've got Mike C. So curious to know your, I guess, origins with Night at the Museum. I remember taking my younger sibling to see it in theaters. And Mike, we'll start with you. When was the first time you saw Night at the Museum? What was your introduction to this franchise as it's become?
Very similarly, I took my young cousin Brian to see this movie when it was in theaters. So I saw it when it first opened, and I enjoyed it then, and I enjoyed it today when I watched it.
Cool. Benji, you, I believe, had a more interesting roundabout way to this movie.
Well, I remember the book, which is very different because it's like a little picture book. But
Like Jumanji.
yeah, but I actually saw the second Night at the Museum before I saw the first Night at the Museum.
You must
Which
be
you just
so
saw
confused.
for the first time last night.
Yeah. No, I wasn't confused because it's not that complicated. The things come alive at night. There you go. I remember I think I read like the Wikipedia or whatever it was back when the second one came out to kind of get the gist of it, but it's not necessary. It's interesting because some of the exhibits change as I presume talent availability changed over the trilogy. But I really like the second one, so I don't know why I never went and saw the first one, but it's good.
And what did you think of the first one? Since Mike,
I mean, honestly, anytime you have Mickey Rourke and Dick Van Dyke together, even if it's just like for 10 seconds, I'm in. So, I think part of it was like I didn't have appeal because Ben Stiller kind of had that comedy, like I want to say like a Zoolander. You think of more of those sort of edgy comedies when you think of it.
I was gonna ask you guys about the casting. I didn't realize how long it's been since this movie was made, and so as we were watching it last night, I think my first indication was you saying, "How come Ben Stiller has aged, but Paul Rudd hasn't?" Because they have like one short scene together, but it's such a time capsule of the main comedy stars of that time. And you're right, you had Ben Stiller in things like Zoolander, Paul Rudd in Anchorman, Owen Wilson in Bridesmaid or not Bridesmaids. What was it? Wedding Crashers and things like that. So you really kind of have this like core young adult actor group for comedies, and then you've got some prestigious actors, and then you've got some legends, some screen legends, and then I had completely forgotten because I didn't really know, like Rami Malek wasn't really on my radar until Bohemian Rhapsody. I had forgotten that Rami Malek was in this before he was anybody as Achman Ra. So I found the casting to be really interesting, especially in retrospect. Did you guys have any like thoughts watching it again?
Well, the comedy connections make sense because it's written by Thomas Lennon and Robert Garant of the State comedy troupe, sketch comedy troupe, and directed by Sean Levy, who's directed a bunch of like mid-level comedy films in the last 20 years or something. Yeah, I mean, it's got comedy chops both behind the scenes and in front of the camera.
Yeah, but that's what I think made it surprising to me was it's not just a comedy. I mean, it has comedy in it, but it also had sort of legit action adventure elements and family elements that were done well when usually you think of, okay, here's these comedy guys who do a certain type of comedy. Can they do a family comedy? And sometimes the answer is yes, sometimes the answer is no. I think they nailed it here. And Thomas Lennon from Earth to Net fame.
Was he just a guest on Earth to Net?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think Ned asked him all about Night at the Museum.
Okay.
Well, and I was going to say, I think Ben Stiller had already proven himself in family-friendly comedies with Heavyweights. And by this time, Owen Wilson would have at least already laid down his voice tracks for Cars.
Yeah, no, and it's not so much that one of them was here; it's that they were all together in one movie, and it looks like you would have if you wouldn't have known it wasn't one of those, you know, R-rated comedies if you didn't know, it was. Yeah, I get. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, this was also, I think it's funny. This is like right around the time Hollywood was really trying to make Steve Coogan happen in America. Um, he made this. He made Disney's Around the World in 80 Days, which was, his starring vehicle. He was co-headlining that film with Jackie Chan, and it featured then Governor of California, Arnold Schwarzenegger, in a cameo. But I thought that was really interesting. I'd completely forgotten about him. And then also Ricky Gervais.
So
I feel
America.
yeah. So is America. Although I do recommend Hamlet 2. If any of you haven't seen it, it's a very niche, but
Hamlet 2 is pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Hamlet 2, if you're a Steve Coogan fan, if you find him charming and those other things. And then, who was the other one? Ricky Gervais, which I feel like this was like right around the time of his moment. And then it like promptly ended. I think the last thing I saw him in was Muppets Most Wanted.
Can I ask a plot question about Ricky Gervais?
Sure.
Does he know what happens at the museum at night?
No.
I think you could make the argument either way.
Yeah. Because
I'd say this is a close guarded secret and nobody knows except these 3 old guards who are now crooks and the new guard and Cara Dugwadi and Ben Stiller's son.
Because I feel like if I ran this museum and suddenly I see my exhibits like stomping through New York City, my first question is not what did the security guard do?
Right.
Like, did he suddenly decide to become a marketing agent? Like, I would have a lot more questions, and I wouldn't just be like, "Oh, look, there's people here. Never mind."
Yeah, the way he reacts to that. Certainly, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is before like Ring doorbells. Like there was no video footage necessarily of the T-Rex stomping around Central Park.
Yeah, but there's footprints. And so, like, what did he like? If he knows it's Ben Stiller's fault, what do you think Ben Stiller did?
I want to know. Well, I guess because they're like crazy homeless people warming themselves by a dumpster fire, nobody would probably believe them. But when that caveman goes out to join the dumpster fire, I'm curious, like, why those people, they just like run away from their one source of warmth, but aren't, willing to share. It was interesting.
Can I point out something with the casting?
Please do.
My wife observed this, and I thought it was very astute. Paul Rudd plays the character that Bobby Cannavale plays in Ant-Man with Paul Rudd in this movie.
And at first, because I was multitasking when we started it. At first, I thought the Ben Stiller's ex-wife was what's her name, Judy Greer. And I was like, no way. They're a couple here and divorced in Ant-Man. But she turned around. It wasn't her. So that was a bit of a disappointment. They should have gotten Judy Greer.
And this would have been a prequel to Ant-Man.
This could have totally fit within the Ant-Man universe.
Well, and with like Ant-Man could like hang out with Owen Wilson and Steve Coogan. It would have.
But now Owen Wilson's in the time variance authority or whatever. So
right, which means this can all connect, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So another thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was what your favorite museum character or creature come to life is. If you had a night in this museum, who's the one that you would want to go and chill with or spend time with? For me, it's Rexy.
Oh yeah, I like the miniature guys. I'm into miniatures. I like Lego and I like dioramas and stuff, so I think I would be into watching what those guys are up to. It's like a little like Sim City or like a Civilization type thing.
Totally.
I don't know if this is my favorite, but I was impressed with Robin Williams as Teddy Roosevelt because like when I first, you hear of him being in it, you're like, okay, he's going to be like a crazy Teddy Roosevelt.
Yeah.
But when he has his moments where he plays Robin Williams, but it's very understated compared to like even like Mrs. Doubtfire or obviously like Aladdin or anything. He's able to convey he's able to somehow be the heart of the movie, and it's Robin Williams, which is not where you would normally go with that. He's normally the part of the movie.
Speaking of Teddy Roosevelt, that statue that they show frequently outside the museum has been removed as of last year.
Yeah.
So I kept thinking of that while watching this.
Because
Well,
they
I have a
never
question.
explicitly say it's this museum, but it's obviously that museum.
Well,
I have a
it is that museum on the exterior,
Right, yeah.
definitely not shot on the inside of the
Right.
New York Museum of Natural History. Go ahead.
Yeah, according to the filming locations on IMDb, they've used a studio in Vancouver for interiors. But I have a question for you, Mike, since you grew up in New York. The Museum of National History, not only do things come alive at night, but also they, I think it was Walter Cronkite, brought dinosaurs from the past to the present at that same museum. Explain, what's going on there?
Wait, I'm not sure I understand the question.
Did you ever
Okay.
see the back of Dinosaur Story?
Oh, no, I missed that one. Sorry.
Steven Spielberg produced it.
I'll say when that movie came out, I remember I was so into Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park was like my favorite movie when I was 13 years old. And then like I first heard about this movie called We're Back, a Dinosaur Story, produced by Steven Spielberg, and I was absolutely convinced it was going to be a sequel to Jurassic Park. I was very disappointed and did not go see it.
Okay.
I'm just glad that I'm just glad it's not the New York Public Library, because then those lions can turn into like crazed beasts that are in
From
the front.
Ghostbusters.
No.
Yeah. What's going on in New York? Poor
A lot
city.
of stuff
Like
coming to life.
all their inanimate objects keep coming to life, terrorizing people.
I know in the Ghostbusters cartoon, the Atlas statue from Rockefeller Center comes to life and runs around.
What we learned, I think, if we've learned anything from comics and movies, it's don't live in New York. Very dangerous.
You're
I would
likely
also
to get
say-
blown up.
I would also say if we've learned anything from movies and real life, it's don't take things out of mummies' tombs and move them because they are cursed. Because I don't know if you know about this, but in Egypt, they recently had their big parade of sarcophagi down the streets to celebrate the grand opening of the new Cairo museum, where they're all going to be stored and displayed. And then we had all kinds of crazy things going on, including that canal getting blocked by a ship. So I think things like the tablet of Akhman-Ra could maybe be real. I don't know. It makes more sense to me now than it probably did to me as a teenager when I first saw Night at the Museum. Now, obviously, this led to two more films, which I know I've seen. Battle for the Smithsonian, which is on Disney Plus now. I don't think I've seen the third one, which is like Tomb of the something, or maybe I'm thinking of Mummy.
Revenge of Brendan Fraser.
He didn't get his coffee.
The third one is Secret of the Tomb, and that's the one
Secret
that
of
I
the Tomb.
believe, it believes takes place in London. Yeah.
Don't they keep talking about making a fourth one too? I feel like every couple years I hear about that.
They're rebooting it as an animated one for Disney Plus. So it's Night at the Museum. Kumanra Rises Again. It's going to be CGI and supposedly released in 2021.
Okay.
And directed by Sean Levy still, but not animated.
I don't know
or
about
produced
that.
by.
I know he's producing it with Chris Columbus.
Produced by.
Yeah, but I
Yeah,
don't
and
know
Chris
if
Columbus produced this as well, hence the 1492 Productions. I was surprised looking at Sean Levy's record, because he started out in TV, and he started on a lot of shows that I watched in my formative years, including Secret World of Alex Mack, Disney Channel's So Weird, and Disney Channel's The Famous Jet Jackson, including The Famous Jet Jackson, the movie, which is the only piece of Jet Jackson that is streaming on Disney Plus right now.
Sean Levy did Big Fat Liar.
He did do Big Fat Liar.
And the
They
upcoming Free Guy.
They told me I was going to pick up a little blue car. They didn't say anything about a little blue man.
That movie did more for the Universal Backlot Tour than any other movie in history.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but the part with the flood was filmed there.
Yeah, they were like, finally we can say this was actually used in a film.
Right. I don't know if you ever did, this is a little off topic, but when you used to go on the tram tour, they would talk about the films that where you could see Catastrophe Canyon, and they'd be like, it's been seen across TV shows, like including the Travel Channel and and I was like, it's been featured there, like every other part of Disney World's been featured there, because they're not doing it as like, here's a scene shot here. They're just being like, here's something you can do at Disney World.
Very true.
At least the King Kong attraction at Universal Hollywood was in the movie The Wizard.
That's true. There's also a really awkward part of The Wizard that, like, as an adult, as a kid, it played differently. But there's this truck driver, and he's got the kids in the bed of the truck, and what's her name? The lead singer of Rilo Kiley, Jenny Lewis, says something like, "I've got legs," and then they cut to him like looking back through the window, going, and it like plays really awkwardly. Watching it as an adult, as a kid, it went right over my head.
I just know it makes visiting the Cabazon dinosaurs a twofer, because you get to see the dinos from Pee-wee's Big Adventure and The Wizard at the same time.
Isn't The Wizard the movie that brought us the Power Glove?
The Power Glove.
I love the Power Glove. It's so bad.
Yes, that movie. And I also used to love Little Monsters. Have any of you seen Little Monsters?
Yeah, very.
Also with what's his name? Fred Savage. Yeah, that was a weird movie. Howie Mandel as a monster living under your bed. Let's see.
No, I'm not gonna be able to sleep tonight thinking Bobby is under my bed.
Right, Bobby's World. Louis. That's what I know Louis Armstrong best from, by the way, is as the voice of. No. That was Life with Louie. I'm mixing up my Fox Kids.
And when you say Louis Armstrong, you really mean Louis Anderson.
And I mean Louis Anderson, not the first man on the moon.
Hello.
Oh yes, not the jazz player. Wow, I'm really tired.
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong. First man on the moon. Yes, he was. Dunstan Checks In needs to come to Disney Plus, by the way. That's what that. I don't know if you know that. That's Wayne Knight. I think it's Wayne Knight. And he's checking in, and he's got a little dog, and he's like introducing him to everyone. He's like, "This is my dog Neil, named after Neil Armstrong, first man on the moon." Yes, he was.
Isn't Jason Alexander in Dunstan Checks In?
Yes, as the dad of the boy from the Santa Claus, who gets Dunstan and promptly hides him in a hotel very much like the Plaza. I don't think it is, but it's like it. Like the hotel in Tom and Jerry, the movie, which is very much like it. Favorite part of the movie?
You are getting confused. You're confusing Wayne Knight with Glenn Shaddix, who voiced the mayor in Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, okay. Anyway, great part, great bit. First man on the moon. Yes, you may. Do you guys have a favorite part of Night at the Museum?
I like when the train's gonna hit him in the head and then it just like falls over.
I like all the miniature bits, like it's a big suspense moment, and then the explosion is just like a especially when they take the remote control car over the snowbank, and then there's like this little mushroom cloud, and they're presumed to be dead. And also Ben Stiller's just like, yeah, that's fine.
It's a dumb bit, but I love Dum Dum Gum Gum.
Voiced by Brad Garrett.
Right. Oh, Big Shot fame.
I've interviewed him over the phone.
Oh, nice. I forgot how much voice work he has done in his career. Seems like at the time he did Finding Nemo, or leading up to Everybody Loves Raymond, he was more a voice actor. And he's done a lot since, including he's done Finding Nemo and Tangled. And I think he's done another thing for Disney.
Yeah, because I interviewed him at the press junket, but I don't remember what it was for.
Yeah.
It was something in the last 5 years that he did for Disney.
Yeah. He's done something since Tangled.
Finding Dory?
Well, he would have been in Finding Dory because he's the voice of the big blowfish. Although I don't think those guys were in that one.
He was in it briefly. He was Eeyore and Christopher Robin.
That was it. It was for Christopher Robin.
Fun. My favorite part would be I like all the Rexy bits, and I like that Rex is basically a dog in terms of his behavior, and he likes to play fetch with one of his own ribs. I do want to know, in the next one, in the animated installment, are the exhibits moving again? Because it seems like they can't catch a break. Like no museum wants them permanently on display.
I have some.
And also, why does the Night Watchman go with the exhibits? Like, how is he part of that package deal when they're negotiating?
They have some silly reason to justify that, but
I feel like they must explain that in the movie, right? In the sequence.
yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's the same reason that Mr. Feeney followed Corey and Topanga from junior high through like post grad,
and then their kids.
right?
Part 2 introduces Amy Adams as Amelia Earhart.
Yes. And I remember part 2 came out like shortly after Enchanted. I was familiar with Amy Adams already, but I was like at the height of my interest in Amy Adams. There used to be that website where you could, maybe it still exists, but you could like play the stock market, but with movies, and it would like give you points for the box office. But you could also invest in actors. And she was the first actor that I invested in on whatever. Do you remember what that was called, Benji?
I'm sorry?
That movie market website where you would like play the stock market, but with movies.
Oh, HSX.
HSX, yes.
Oh, the stock exchange.
I had invested in Amy Adams because I was like, oh, she's going places.
They used to have the ticker for that in West Hollywood by Barney's Beanery. You could go and watch the Hollywood Stock Exchange ticker.
Nice.
I can't imagine like that. I mean, it must still be around, right?
Well, they certainly had a dead year.
Yeah, well, good point.
That's like I saw a clip of Bill Maher complaining that none of the movies were like uplifting this year, but did he realize that almost none of the movies that were supposed to come out came out?
It's true, but I still think most of the movies that would have come out but were delayed wouldn't have been in the Oscar contender category.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Oscars. They're not the movies.
That's the People Choice Awards.
Yeah, right. I mean, well, there's got to be something in the middle there, right? Like the Oscars tend to not award uplifting films.
Fair enough.
But
I mean, Forrest Gump won Best Picture.
Yeah, what year was that, Mike?
95?
Oh, that was just like 5 years ago, right?
Yeah, when did Tom Hanks play? 1994. So that's 7 years ago.
You know what's crazy for me is I remember when Many Adventures of Winnie the Pooh came out on VHS in the mid-90s, and it was the 25th anniversary edition. And I remember, being around like 10 or 12 and holding it and thinking, wow, this movie's 25 years old. And now it's like Xenon, Girl of the 21st Century, is 20. Like everything I grew up with is old now.
And also, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, and also getting wiped from the face of existence for various reasons. Anything else you guys want to say about Night at the Museum? This one, so I was a little bit confused by the whole is Sacagawea death bit, because it's like she's stuck behind glass. Her glass is soundproof when other people's isn't. Like other people can hear through the glass, but she seems completely unable to hear. So do Lewis and Clark until he smashes the glass. But it seemed like they spent a lot of time setting up, like maybe Sacagawea was hard of hearing, and then it's just like, oh no, they couldn't hear through the glass.
I also want to know why they spent the extra money to soundproof it. Like, were they worried the patrons were going to disturb the wax figures, or vice versa? That brings up a lot of operational questions I have.
Also, Akhman Ra is his real, like, mummified body, but the rest of them are miniature figures, but they take on the memories and soul and persona of who they were intended to be.
Well, also, the dinosaur is still bone.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, arguable fossil is not technically bone.
It's rock.
You know what I mean.
You noob. Read a National Geographic.
He's a fossil, but Akhman Ra somehow regains his youthful vigor. I mean, presumably he decomposed.
Yeah, well, and also presumably his brain was his brain was pulled out through his nose and put in several jars.
Right.
Yeah. As the ancient Egyptians were wont to do.
And welcome back to what Alex has learned due to the National Geographic acquisition.
So ancient Egypt used to terrify me as a kid because of Stargate. I think it was Stargate. Um, and so I was always afraid. And also there was another alien thing that was like ancient Egypt based, and I was afraid of aliens. So when I would think of ancient Egypt as a kid, I would get very sick. And we would go to the Field Museum in Chicago, and they had a whole like section with mummies and stuff, and it scared me. Like I didn't like to go in that section. And through National Geographic, I have become obsessed with archaeological dig shows. And I'm now more interested in the ones where they're digging up remains of ancient peoples than I am the ones where they're digging up remains of dinosaurs, which used to be what I was mostly interested in. So I've come 180. Now I'm very into the Bronze Age.
I like documentaries about cults.
Yeah, those are interesting. Sometimes those get a little dark for me, though. They really impact my anxiety and make me think about, what other areas of my life are cult-like.
I would love to see like a full
and am I unknowingly a member?
Like a serious documentary on the Cola cult from Chippendale Rescue Rangers. Because that song has been stuck in my head since about 1991.
Wait, what's the song now? I think I probably remember this.
Come along, sing the song, feel the fizz of Coca-Cola.
Yeah. That sounds very familiar.
You know what song has not been stuck in anyone's head ever is Ewoks. They're the spirits of the Endor moon.
Yeah, Mike, can you explain the Ewoks theme song to me?
I still haven't watched that cartoon, so I will be watching it very soon.
Oh,
I have to watch it for the podcast. So
the theme song is so hard to watch.
For a franchise known for its musical stylings, so many questions.
They had Nub Nub. They could have just licensed Nub Nub.
Pre-made theme song right there.
Yep.
You could have even changed the lyrics to be like Ewoks
are having Ewoks on the moon. Ewoks on the moon. Yeah, no, they went.
Yeah, you need to at least watch the first 60 seconds
Ewoks
of this animated series and explain.
And at first I was thinking maybe kids shows were just like had bad songs back then, but then I remembered no, Hanna-Barbera came in the 70s. You had Care Bears right around the same time. You had some good TV animation themes.
Yeah, Shirt Tales.
I don't know what that is.
That was a cartoon when I was a kid.
I had Wuzzles, Popples,
and Carrie. Ewoks is what the gummy. Ewoks wishes it was the gummy bears. It's like
very much so. Even the beginning, like it like pops up like one Ewok's face at a time for every E. And it's like they're trying to be like, look at the diversity of our Ewoks. One of them is pink, like, and the only girl.
There's only one girl, right? Just like the Smurfs.
Yeah, well, there's elders that are not main characters, but like the core gang that are all like Wicket's main friends. There's just one girl in that group, and she has
Princess Kanisa.
Yeah, she's got a pink little hood. Or cloak.
What's funny to me is it was written by the episode we saw was written by Paul Dini, who ended up working on Star Wars Rebels
and Batman the animated series.
Yeah, but not that theme song.
Nope. Or maybe he did that theme song, and that's the problem.
Okay, next week what do we got? I believe it is Third Man on the Mountain, right?
Ooh. That's
Alex
exciting.
and I will talk about that.
That inspired the Matterhorn.
By the building of the Matterhorn. And what you got? What you got? Something you're working on, Mike? Anything you want to plug? Who's the boss?
Who's the boss? I did Caravan of Courage. Speaking of the Ewoks, that's going to be out on Wednesday. Going through all of Lucasfilm, and then reading the new Thrawn novel that's going to be reviewed next week. And theme parks, hopefully, theoretically.
Cool.
You're eligible. We'll see what happens as you live in the state.
I do live in the state.
Okay. Well, you want to wrap us up, Alex?
Sure, yeah. Well, do we want to highlight what's happening tomorrow as well? In terms of live shows, we've got 2 on the schedule. 4 o'clock Pacific time. You can check out Barely Necessities with the Rebeccas. And then also tomorrow evening, 7:30 Pacific time, you can check out Disney Trivia Live with Doobie and Gideon. I think they're just returning. This is their first show in a while. Is that correct?
They did it on Saturday.
Oh, they did it on Saturday.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, they just got back from a trip. So thank you, everybody, for watching Laughing Place Movie Club. Hope you have a great night. And take care. We'll see you next time.